Welcome. Today we're taking a deep dive into the complex world of economic sanctions imposed on Russia since its full-scale invasion of Ukraine on February 24th, 2022. Over the past 3 years, Western nations have employed unprecedented unilateral sanctions against the Russian government and its key supporters. In this video, we'll break down how these measures were designed, their impacts on the Russian economy, the legal and enforcement challenges they face, and the broader lessons learned. Immediately after the invasion, a coalition of countries, including the United States, the European Union, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and Japan, swiftly targeted Russia. These sanctions were aimed at crippling key areas of Russia's economy by restricting access to its financial system, removing Russian banks from global payment networks like SWIFT, and imposing strict controls on strategic sectors such as aviation, energy, and shipping. The approach was twofold. First, it aimed to disrupt trade and diminish Russia's economic output. And second, it served as a political signal to coerce President Putin into ending the conflict. Over time, sanctions have also extended to individuals close to Putin, entities involved in facilitating the war, and even those suspected of human rights abuses in occupied territories. The economic impact has been significant. Current estimates suggest that Russian GDP has fallen 10 to 12% below pre-invasion trends, and the average citizen's disposable income has dropped by 20 to 25%. At the same time, inflation and domestic interest rates in Russia have surged past 20%. Yet, despite these economic blows, Russia has adapted in several ways, including evading sanctions through third-party trade, such as rerouting oil exports via a shadow fleet of tankers. But how are these sanctions legally justified? Sanctions are essentially economic tools of foreign policy. They signal a nation's disapproval of another state's actions and are intended to coerce behavioral change. Ideally, sanctions would be implemented globally under United Nations approval. However, because Russia and its ally China hold veto power on the UN Security Council, Western states have instead relied on their own domestic laws to impose these measures. For example, the United States has used its robust legal framework through the Office of Foreign Assets Control, or OFAC, even expanding its authority in December 2023 to target foreign financial institutions that deal with Russia's military-industrial base. The European Union and the United Kingdom have similarly crafted their own legislative responses, though with varying degrees of coordination among member states. Enforcement remains a major challenge. While private companies are expected to comply with these measures under threat of severe penalties, including criminal charges and hefty fines, the enforcement across Europe and the UK has often been fragmented and under-resourced. In contrast, the US system is more aggressive, applying strict liability standards and even pursuing extraterritorial actions when necessary. Another critical aspect of the sanctions regime is the freezing of assets. As of January 2025, thousands of individuals and entities are under sanction, with billions of dollars and pounds frozen in assets ranging from bank accounts to real estate. For private citizens and oligarchs, there's little recourse. Legal challenges have largely been unsuccessful. For state assets, the stakes are higher. The European Union, for instance, has taken bold steps by mobilizing 210 billion euros of frozen Russian central bank assets held in Belgium to support Ukraine, effectively forcing Russia to bear some of the costs of its aggression. So, what have we learned over these 3 years? While Western sanctions have undeniably disrupted Russia's economy, reducing its GDP and straining the financial well-being of its citizens, their overall effectiveness in compelling political change remains uncertain. Russia has shown resilience, adapting to sanctions through methods like trade deflection and exploiting enforcement gaps. Moreover, the legal framework governing these measures is highly complex and often contentious, leaving open questions about the future use and potential unfreezing of assets. In conclusion, the sanctions imposed on Russia have been a powerful tool of economic warfare, inflicting significant damage on its economy, while also exposing the limitations and challenges inherent in unilateral enforcement. As the conflict in Ukraine continues, these measures serve both as a punishment for aggression and a bargaining chip, a reminder that while economic pressure can weaken a regime, it may not be sufficient on its own to end a complex and protracted conflict. Thank you for joining us in this comprehensive exploration of sanctions effectiveness. Stay tuned for further updates and don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth analysis on global economic and political issues.